Now, a Mumbai court has sent Aryan Khan, Arbaz merchant and Moon Dhamecha to one-day NCB custody. A heated argument has also taken place in Mumbai's Killa court during that hearing, demanding custody of all the three accused until 5th of October. The drug probe agency's lawyer claimed that there was sufficient evidence. Aryan's lawyer, Satish Manishinde, argued that there is no basis for custody as the offences are bailable. In fact, however, he agreed for one-day custody of Aryan. Manishinde has also said that Aryan was an invitee to the event and that he had not purchased a ticket to the event. NCB lawyer further argued that all accused are interconnected and incriminating chats have also been recovered from their phones, which shows communication between them and the peddlers. The defense said that nothing was found on Aryan's luggage, which was screened at the cruise, and that no evidence has been found on his phone.
एक दिन का कस्टडी कोर्ट ने हमारे रिमांड एप्लीकेशन पे तीनों अक्यूज को दिया है। मैटर को कल रखा हुआ है। हमारा रिमांड एप्लीकेशन के कोर्ट ने की सुनवाई होने के बाद कोर्ट ने ये फैसला किया है।
Let me cut across to Vikram Singh, who's a former DGP UP, who's joining us as well. Mr. Singh, here, Shahrukh Khan's son, being the poster boy for this entire episode, has been charged on multiple acts of the NDPS, including that of consumption, purchase, possession. We're looking at 3 of them who've been arrested. They've been given to one-day NCB custody. Further interrogation has also revealed that some of the WhatsApp chats that shows that they were chatting with drug peddlers and communicating on how to purchase drugs and that they wanted to consume it on that day of that cruise party, whatnot. A lot of evidence that the NCB has found. Eventually, they were given only one-day custody. Where do you see this case headed towards?
Navila, it is very seldom that such a sensitive case is worked out so professionally. You had no other than senior operative of the NCB, Samir Wankhede, going as a passenger and was a part of the entire party, the rave party, and was privy to whatever was happening. Then the WhatsApp chat, the recoveries of the contraband drugs, also the recoveries and also the confession made before the NCB that Vishwa Vijay Singh. In fact, I must tell you and the viewers that a confession made before a police officer is not admissible in the court of law, but a confession made before an NCB officer is admissible in the court of law. If there had not been merit and substance that the charges that have been leveled in respect of sections 27, 35, 20B of the Narcotics NDPS Act, then the court would not have given a remand. This is a serious matter, and you have arranged the best lawyers in the industry to fight for the accused. But if the court has in its wisdom given a 24-hour remand to the NCB for sustained and interrogation, custodial interrogation, because there are certain things that will have to be worked as reverse engineering will take you back. Who were the suppliers, who ensured the supply chain, and who are the big fish who organized this party, and who actually are the real beneficiaries. This is a very convoluted investigation and will have to take some time before everything is out. I would say, prima facie, a very strong case has been made out. But you must also see, Nabila, that the best legal brains of the country are also there to oppose. It is a matter of satisfaction that the court has given 24 hours remand, but it remains to be seen if this vigorous pursuit towards the truth continues, because rest assured, these are very resourceful accused and they will leave no stone unturned to get their liberty. Well, legally, whatever is possible, our constitution guarantees that freedom to them, but at the same time, the NCB, the police and the law enforcement agency would do well to piece up all the evidence, material, circumstantial and otherwise, but also electronic evidence in the WhatsApp and other telephonic interceptions. And I'm sure there would be incontrovertible evidence needs to be followed up. NDPS is one of the very harshest act in the country, NDPS Act 1985, where the beginning, the consumers, possessors, suppliers, they are classified, and then 10 years, life imprisonment, and even death penalty are there. And life imprisonment, Nabila, does not mean that one will be there for 15 years. Life imprisonment in this case means till one dies in the jail. Therefore, one has to tread very, very carefully, sensitively, with malice towards none, but yes, firmness in the right to ensure that only the evidence without any prejudice is placed before the court, and also keep away from preconceived notions and without any prejudice go for a very skillful and a legally vetted charge sheet so that it is fail-proof and foolproof, not only in the court, lower court, in the trial court, but also right up to the Supreme Court, because this case, Nabila, has the potential of going right up to the Supreme Court.
Well, Ms. Vikram Singh, here, from what we hear, a lot of speculation that that cruise ship, the party which has thousands of people on board, despite the NCB crackdown and the drugs that was recovered by some of them, is still underway. They have a full-blown party, we believe, that's still underway. The cruise is still on. How did the NCB allow that party to even take place when they had a tip-off that a massive rave party was organized? They had 15 days advance inputs. They went and laid a massive trap there and then caught a few of them, 3 of them arrested, including Aryan Khan, 3 of them, all of them 20-year-olds who've been brought out, but the organizers still remain out of the hook. They have not been called in, no questioning as yet, and the party continues unabated.
Nabila, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm shocked and surprised to hear that from you, that the party should not have continued. If the party was compromised with the introduction and serving and spread of drugs, there was no justification of the party to continue, because you still do not know who was complicit. The best thing to do was to arrest those who were in possession of drugs, those against whom you have convincing and credible evidence. But the fact of the matter is that the party to continue, I really don't know, and I would not like to comment on that. But if I had been in position there, that party had no business to continue, because that party was complicit, did not take adequate precautions to ensure that the party and those who are the party, the participants of the party, were not willing accessories to the whole episode. Do you mean to say for a moment, Nabila, that those people who are not willing accessories? The organizers have a lot of explaining to do. And under these circumstances, if they have not been able to give a satisfactory explanation of their conduct, I would say there was no justification of the party to continue, and the organizers should also have been taken for custodial interrogation. Nabila.
Well, Mr. Singh, here we know that the organizers have also, they have to take responsibility of what's happened. But so far, they've not been summoned for questioning, which is an absolute shocker, because you have 3 20-year-olds who've been called in. Their medical tests have been done. In fact, it's not unfounded. They've seized drugs on them. So nonetheless, while that happens on one side, it is the responsibility of the organizers to come out, be part of the investigation and answer to those questions posed by the NCB. How did the NCB not chase after them? That's the surprising part, that none of them have been summoned, questioned. They've been let off. They're under scanner,
Nabila,
but they've not been called in for questioning.
Nabila, it doesn't make sense at all. If you're not subjected to immediate and custodial interrogation, there may be alibis built up, evidence destroyed, and they will get a cover-up. It doesn't make sense. The investigation is never conducted in a manner that the organizers who's hosting the party, I mean, how can he absolve himself and themselves of the responsibility that they were privy to the fact that the party is going on, and you, like Alice in Wonderland, believe that you are oblivious of what is happening underneath. I, for one, would not like to believe that they were oblivious of what was happening, because everything was on social media. And if it is on the social media, the message was loud and clear, 60,000 to 5 lakhs. Obviously, whatever they were selling, they were not serving gold and diamonds for the meals. And if the tickets were so steep, and the background and the pedigree of the party was such that it was rumored that all drugs are available in such rave parties, Nabila, not to question the organizers of the party makes no sense to me. My strong advice to them would be to please, if you have bungled up now, please don't bungle up any further. Get the antecedents of the party organizers, get them, because it in fact is the question mark. Why were they let off in the first place? Why was the party allowed to continue? They should all have been apprehended, and every single person of the organizers' party and team should have been investigated. The bank balances scrutinized, the income tax returns scrutinized, also the criminal antecedents also. I could go on and on for the next 30 minutes to tell you what is required to be done in case of these party organizers. Their pedigree, the criminal history, their past, the income tax returns, and whether they were on the radar of the law enforcement agencies and the tax agencies. Have they submitted their returns in time? Have they been penalized for tax evasion? There are innumerable questions. And in fact, their questioning is the other side of the coin. If on one side you have been able to apprehend, okay, Aryan and a few others, the other side of the coin is the investigation, and this should have been vigorously followed. And if not, well, I have my own reservations, Nabila.
Well, Mr. Singh, thank you very much for joining us with your views on that. Of course, we know that so far the organizers have not yet been called in for questioning, and it could be possible that that cruise ship still has that party on with thousands of them inside. A thorough check must be done. Will the NCB go after them? That's the question. But for now, you have 3 of them who've been arrested, and a case is being pursued. 1-day custody that's been given to the NCB, which will further investigate and understand what kind of nexus, how big is the nexus between these star kids and the drug peddlers. Now, after the NCB busted the high-profile drug party, the premium luxury cruise ship Cordelia Empress has now washed its hands off this entire drug bust. In fact, the president and the CEO of the Cordelia Cruises has said the drugs were found in some of the passengers' luggage, but they're not responsible for it.
One of India's largest premium luxury cruise ships, Cordelia's Empress. The ship takes guests on board to some of the most popular Indian and international tourist destinations. Equipped with food pavilions, 4 specialty restaurants, bars, gyms, casinos, theatres, several swimming pools, nightclubs and lounges. On Saturday night, under the pale moonlight, the Empress was cutting the high waves and moving towards country's party capital, Goa. The plan was to drown the woes away in the tranquil waters of the Arabian Sea from Mumbai on 2nd October and hit back the shores on 4th. But it was not a trip as usual, as choppy water was awaiting those on board. Despite a clear official guideline by the organizers on no drugs use, as soon as the ship left Mumbai coast and reached mid-sea, NCB officers say they found drugs being used at the rave party.
इतिहास में ड्रग रेड्स एनसीबी के द्वारा कई बार किए गए, लेकिन हाई सीज में किसी क्रूज शिप पर पहली बार किया गया। इस सारे कैलकुलेशन के बाद जो है तय किया गया कि आज रेड किया जाए, और मुझे खुशी है कि रेड जो है सक्सेसफुल हुआ।
After NCB raid, President and CEO of Cordelia Cruises, Jürgen Bailom, washed his hands off the drug bust. He said the drugs was found in some of the passengers' luggage and the offenders were offloaded by the Cordelia immediately.
I have nothing to say. We are just cooperating with the authorities. That's our standard procedure.
Drugs were consumed or drugs were...
We don't know. We only operate the ship. We don't know any of that. We are just the operator.
Several passengers complained about the incident, accusing Cordelia of cheating them.
ऑफ कोर्स चीटिंग है, उन्होंने मिस ऑर्गेनाइज करा था, पैथेटिक सर्विस है, हमसे पैसे लिए हुए हैं।
ड्रग्स पार्टी ऑर्गेनाइज की थी, रेव पार्टी अंदर चल रही थी।
नहीं, ऐसे कुछ स्पेशली ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं करा था। कौन ऐसे ऑर्गेनाइज करके बुलाता है? ऑब्वियसली
तो चीटिंग हुआ है आपके साथ, क्योंकि
ऑब्वियसली चीटिंग हुआ है। हमारे पैसे लिए हैं और हमें एक्सपीरियंस भी नहीं दिया, हम इतने दूर से आए हैं।
I heard this was so much police, but drugs was found inside somewhere in the cruise. Yeah, outside I didn't see it.
Did some passengers misuse the musical voyage to indulge in using drugs? Now it is up to NCB to reach the bottom of the mid-sea drug bust case.
The ship on which this particular cruise was happening is known as Empress. It's a 692 feet long and weighs more than 48,500 tons. Earlier, it sailed across the Caribbean and now it has been brought to India under the flagship of Cordelia Cruises. Part of this rave party that was planned on board this vessel, on board the cruise, had carried drugs with them. NCB had a specific tip-off, and following that, they conducted the search operation and seized the drugs. Many of those suspects have been detained and many could be arrested further. With camera person Swaraj, this is Vikram Singh in Mumbai for India Today.
Well, now India Today has accessed details of the Creark event, which was to take place on that ship. In fact, it's still underway as per sources. The event was to have internationally renowned DJs with tickets ranging all the way from 60,000 rupees to a whopping 5 lakhs. That event, which still is on, has enough and more international names associated to that gig, which is underway. Let's take a look.
One of the world's most famous artists, internationally renowned DJs, pool parties, musical events, high-profile attendees from Bollywood, fashion and the business industry. The 3-day Krayak Sea Cruise event had it all. Tickets for the 5-star tour started from 60,000 rupees and went all the way to 5 lakh rupees. India Today has accessed exclusive details of the event Krayak, organized by Fashion TV India with Namaskre on board the Cordelia, an Indian super luxury cruise liner. Organizers circulated a 14-page document called the Krayak Bible for high-profile guests, which mentions all the do's and don'ts along with the lists of artists and other attractions. The organizers also mentioned a strict no drugs or illegal substances policy for all participants. The cruise was supposed to depart at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday from Mumbai and return at 10 a.m. on October the 4th after cruising on the Arabian Sea. The organizers for the first day had promised musical performances by Miami-based DJ Stan Kolev, along with famous DJs Bullseye, Browncoat and Deepesh Sharma. On day 2, an FTV pool party was planned for the guests. During the pool party, Raul K, a DJ from Ivory Coast, was scheduled to perform along with Indian DJ Kora and Moroccan artist Keza. The cruise event had several high-profile guests on board, many of whom are now under the Narcotics Bureau scanner. With Divyesh Singh in Mumbai and Munish Pandey in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, my colleague Shreya Chatterjee went on to registered office of Namaskre, one of those organizers, the firm that is run by Arjun Jain, which is behind this entire event on that cruise ship from which drug parties was busted by the NCB. But Arjun Jain, who is a Delhi-based businessman and the additional director of Namaskre event, was not present at his home. Is he on that cruise ship, which is still underway, enjoying the party? Remains to be seen. But here's Shreya trying to reach out.
13A Oak Drive, DLF Chhatarpur Farms. This is the official address that's been provided by Arjun Jain in the details of information about his address, especially while he registered those several companies. Now, Arjun Jain is the man who's now become controversial about that drug bust that happened in Mumbai by the NCB. Namaskre Experience, he's been linked with that same company. Now, this is the address that was provided by Arjun Jain, but we're learning that he right now doesn't stay over here. Sir, यहाँ पे अर्जुन जैन अभी रहते हैं?
नहीं,
कब से मतलब?
लगभग 1.5-2 साल हो गया उनको गए।
पहले रहते थे यहाँ?
पहले रहते थे।
लेकिन अभी कोई यहाँ पे? यहाँ
कोई नहीं आता है।
2 साल हो गए उन्होंने छोड़ दिया।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
कहाँ पे रहते हैं, कोई आइडिया आपको?
अभी इधर रहते हैं, फतेहपुर से थोड़ा सा पहले ही।
लेकिन यहाँ भी आते जाते हैं?
अब यहाँ नहीं आते।
So as you clearly heard that he doesn't stay over here anymore. However, this continues to be the official address that has been provided by him. With video journalist Anup from New Delhi, this is Shreya Chatterjee for India Today.